Well, tonight's episode of Dateline hits close to home, the story of Boyle County native Jesse Valencia. He was murdered in Columbia, Missouri, where he went to college in 2004. It's a case with a lot of twists and turns and involves someone in law enforcement. Joining us now to talk about the episode is Dateline's Keith Morrison. Keith, we hope you're doing well, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Just fine. Happy to be here.
Good. It's good to see you. So what made you want to cover this case again, a case that dates back to 2004?
It's a question we get a lot when we take on a case like this that has been around for a while. Because, the daily news programs and newspapers have long since dispensed with it. But the fact is that this was a fascinating case for all kinds of reasons, and one which has lingered. And there are people still who are arguing about implications and whether or not things should have turned out the way they did. And that there's just a tremendous amount of interesting material that relates to a lot of kind of basic things about the way human beings function. Also, the characters are just fascinating. So it was good to do.
What did you learn about Jesse while covering the story?
Well, Jesse is, and this is part of what makes a story that we would want to do. Jesse is a person who should have lived, who could have made a wonderful, of course he should have lived, but had he lived, I think, could have made a remarkable contribution to the world around him. He was a very smart person. He was a very engaged person. He was proudly gay at a time not so long ago where it was totally difficult to be that way, I think, to some degree. And he was just smart, interesting. His relationship with his mother, Linda, was a wonder to behold. They were so close, they almost read each other's thoughts.
Okay.
To talk to Linda about her son, Jesse.
Right. You had that pretty compelling interview with his mother. So what kind of came out of that?
It was a way to experience this young man. You want to know who is the person at the heart of a story like this. And after spending hours and hours talking to Linda, I certainly do feel as if now I kind of know the guy. I can certainly feel for him. We went through all the ins and outs of this case.
Speaking of the ins and outs of this case, law enforcement at the center of this, kind of in an unconventional way. So what made this investigation unique? Well,
it was unique in any number of ways, but it was difficult for the detectives who did take on the case and eventually filed the charges, because to take on your own department to investigate one of your own has to be enormously difficult. At the same time, these detectives are pros, and they recognize you cannot have a bad apple in the bunch. It just spoils the whole basket, as they say. So they worked very hard to make this case to the point where, which was kind of interesting later, a police department is accused of having tunnel vision for investigating one of its own too assiduously. But that became part of the interesting aspect of the story.
Okay. Well, it certainly will be a compelling story. And Keith, we certainly appreciate your time this afternoon. Hope you stay well and take care.
Thank you too.
All right. Have a good one. And be sure to watch Dateline tonight at 8 o'clock, or at 9 o'clock rather, right here on LEX 18.